In a dramatic turn of history, the siege of Jerusalem looms ominously as a colossal force of 185,000 Assyrian soldiers encamps just outside its walls. This wasn't merely an army, it was a juggernaut of formidable might, brewing a storm of fear and despair among the people of Judah. Picture this: families huddled together, whispering fearful prayers as the shadows of the Assyrian banners flickered against the walls of their city. The atmosphere was thick with the anticipation of inevitable defeat, and each heartbeat echoed the weight of hopelessness that gripped the hearts of the citizens. Before we continue, subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell to stay updated on content that can transform your spiritual journey. Imagine standing within those ancient walls, feeling the dread seep into your very bones as the fortified battalions of Assyria brewed like a tempest on the outskirts. The tales of their conquests spread like wildfire, cities reduced to ash, populations decimated, and nations bowing in servitude. Jerusalem, a city proud of its faith and heritage, suddenly confronted a reality that felt insurmountable. What could they do against such overwhelming odds? In the midst of this rising tide of despair, the seed of resilience lay quietly, waiting for its moment to flourish. As the sun set over the battlements of Jerusalem, it marked not just the end of another day, but the beginning of a pivotal chapter in faith and fortitude. While darkness descended upon the city, an inner resolve began to awaken. The question wasn't just one of survival. It was a challenge to their very identity. Would they allow fear to dictate their fate, or would they rise against the encroaching shadows? As the drums of war reverberated through the air, the crucial battleground became not just physical but deeply spiritual, a reminder that even in the face of despair, hope could still linger. Amidst the encroaching threat of the Assyrians, the voice of prophet Isaiah emerged as a clarion call, warning the people of Judah about the might of their enemies. With unwavering conviction, Isaiah spoke of the Assyrians' notorious reputation, a merciless force that had swept across nations, leaving devastation in their wake. His words painted vivid pictures of fallen cities, destroyed livelihoods, and the despair that follows in the footsteps of oppression. Those who heard his warnings couldn't help but feel the gravity of the situation unfold before them, knowing the historical context of their foe's fury. Isaiah's prophetic words were not simply a caution, they were a summons to recognize the reality of their vulnerability amidst such colossal power. He spoke of the Assyrians as a whirlwind, their conquests a testament to their brutality and effectiveness in subjugating nations that once stood proud. This moment in time wasn't just an echo of battle, it was a pivotal stand against a tide of history, urging the people to awaken to their situation. Yet within these warnings lay an invitation, the chance to pivot from fear into faith, transforming anxiety into profound dependence on a power greater than any earthly army. In his warnings, Isaiah implanted seeds of awareness that extended beyond mere survival. They called for a profound reflection on fortitude and hope. The challenge wasn't just to recognize the might of the Assyrians, but to also embrace the potential for divine intervention. With each proclamation, he encouraged an unwavering commitment to faith, suggesting that even in the direst of circumstances, the spirit of resilience could rise. Thus, as the specter of war loomed ever closer, the intersection of fear and faith became the foundation for a pivotal moment in history, igniting a fervent hope for something beyond mere military might. In the face of an impending catastrophe, King Hezekiah of Judah emerged as a beacon of faith and integrity, inspiring his people amidst the daunting threat of the Assyrian siege. Unlike many rulers who would have succumbed to fear or sought alliances with foreign powers, Hezekiah chose to lean on his profound trust in God. His courageous stance was not merely a political maneuver, it was an act of deep conviction that rallied the citizens of Jerusalem. Here was a leader who understood the weight of his responsibilities in the hearts of his people, embodying hope when despair threatened to consume them. Hezekiah's leadership transcended the usual attributes of kingship. He fostered an environment where faith could thrive in the midst of strife. By encouraging his subjects to remember their history and the power of their God, he ignited a spark that transformed fear into determination. Each message he shared emphasized the importance of relying on divine strength instead of earthly constructs, reuniting the people in purpose and resolve. It wasn't just walls and soldiers he fortified. It was the spirit of a nation ready to withstand the storm, guided by an unwavering vision of deliverance. As the tension built outside the city gates, the contrast between the shadow of the Assyrian might and Hezekiah's unwavering integrity became strikingly clear. He did not merely lead with an iron fist. Instead, he opened his heart to prayer, inviting his people to join him in seeking divine favor. His actions demonstrated that true leadership lies not in power or possessions, but in the ability to inspire courage and foster a collective spirit of hope. Hezekiah became a testament to the belief that even the fiercest storms can be weathered through unity and faith, nurturing an indomitable spirit amidst adversity. In a time of dire uncertainty, King Hezekiah rose to reaffirm the spirit of Jerusalem's citizens, urging them to prioritize faith over fear. His voice resonated through the crowded streets, instilling courage into the hearts of those who felt their resolve wavering. With unwavering assurance, Hezekiah proclaimed that their trust in God's protection was their strongest shield against the overwhelming might of the Assyrian forces. Each word was a lifeline, a promise that they were not alone in this struggle, reminding them of their collective strength rooted in faith. As he addressed the anxious crowds, Hezekiah articulated a vision that transcended the immediate perils, emphasizing the power of divine support. He spoke of the invincibility that comes from unity and reliance on their faith, framing their current predicament not as a hopeless defeat, but as an opportunity to witness miracles unfold. His encouragement acted like a salve, healing the wounds of fear and planting seeds of hope in the fertile ground of his people's hearts. The very act of choosing faith began to transform the atmosphere, replacing despair with a growing anticipation of divine intervention. Hezekiah's call to remain strong and courageous was not just rhetoric. It was a deliberate act of leadership that fostered resilience. By projecting calm and confidence, he empowered the citizens of Jerusalem to rise above the chaos surrounding them, embracing a mindset anchored in trust instead of trepidation. Communities began to gather, sharing prayers and uplifting one another, as they collectively braved the trials ahead. In this pivotal moment, the power of faith shined through darkness, illustrating that when fear attempts to take hold, the strength of trust can illuminate the path forward. In a shrewd demonstration of psychological warfare, the Assyrian envoy Rabshakeh unleashed a barrage of intimidation tactics designed to shake the very foundation of Jerusalem's morale. Often, battles are won not just on the field but in the hearts and minds of the people, and Rabshakeh knew this well. His words dripped with disdain as he mocked the strength of Judah, attempting to instill doubt in the citizens and convince them of their impending doom. This was more than a siege. It was an insidious attack aimed at breaking the spirits of those who called Jerusalem home. As he stood before the walls of the city, Rabshakeh's rhetoric was calculated, sowing seeds of fear by reciting tales of the Assyrian conquests and the futility of resistance. He painted a grim picture of despair, inviting the citizens to question their faith and the promises of their God. Each taunt layered upon the minds of those who listened, making them grapple with the fear of abandonment in the face of overwhelming odds. The envoy's manipulation targeted not just individuals, but the very fabric of unity that King Hezekiah had worked so hard to foster among the people. Despite the sinister tactics employed by Rabshakeh, a profound lesson emerged: the power of collective resilience in the face of threats. As fear began to creep into the hearts of some, the unwavering faith of others served as a counterbalance, injecting hope back into the atmosphere. Individuals started to seek strength and solidarity, recalling the words of their king and the assurances of their prophecies. The insults of the Assyrian envoy inadvertently ignited a sense of defiance within the hearts of Jerusalem's inhabitants, demonstrating that psychological warfare, while formidable, could be met with an unbreakable spirit fortified by faith. In a bold act of defiance, the Assyrians crossed a perilous line, openly blaspheming the God of Judah and challenging his ability to save. The arrogance displayed by their leaders, particularly Rabshakeh, was not merely an affront to the people of Jerusalem, but a direct insult to divine authority itself. They belittled the very notion that any power could stand against the might of Assyria, invoking their own deeds as evidence of superiority over all other gods. This arrogance not only revealed their misunderstanding of true strength, but also stirred the foundations of a divine challenge. Rabshakeh's taunts were couched in contempt, as he proclaimed to the people that their God was powerless to intervene, suggesting that their trust in him was misguided. Such rhetoric aimed not only to instill fear, but to undermine the core belief that had sustained them through generations. The audacity of the Assyrians to place themselves above the divine was a pivotal moment that revealed the true nature of their hearts, filled with pride, yet devoid of wisdom. In their blasphemy lay a profound irony. They had unwittingly provoked the attention of the Almighty, a challenge set before a power far greater than their own might. As the Assyrian envoys continued their blasphemous tirade, a critical realization began to dawn upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem. The battle was not only against flesh and blood, but against the very principles of faith and righteousness. This divine challenge stirred a righteous anger, awakening the people to the understanding that their God could not be dismissed or belittled without consequences. In the face of such sacrilege, the call to prayer and unity among the citizens grew stronger. They were now emboldened, understanding that their faith was indeed their greatest weapon against both the physical threats outside their walls and the spiritual battles raging within. Amidst the rising tide of despair and daunting threats, King Hezekiah turned to prayer, exemplifying profound humility and a deep dependence on God's intervention. In a moment where many could have resorted to desperation, Hezekiah chose to seek solace and guidance through heartfelt supplication. His actions spoke volumes. He recognized the limits of human strength and the imperatives of divine wisdom. This was not merely a routine act of piety. It was a demonstration of his belief that salvation could only come through the power of God, beckoning the heavens for help in their time of need. Hezekiah's prayer was infused with sincerity as he laid bare the struggles of his people before God, acknowledging their vulnerabilities while proclaiming their faith. He knew that the words uttered in the quiet shadows of his chamber held profound significance, bridging the gap between mortal fears and everlasting trust. In this sacred moment of connection, he did not simply recite requests. He expressed genuine anguish and reliance on God's faithfulness. Such vulnerability became a profound act of courage, reminding the inhabitants of Jerusalem that their leader was as devoted to divine guidance as they were to overcoming their adversities. In seeking divine guidance, Hezekiah inspired a renewed spirit among his people, igniting a collective return to faith that resonated throughout Jerusalem. As word of his prayer spread, it served not only as a lifeline for the king, but as a beacon of hope for a nation under siege. His actions encouraged others to also turn inward, fostering a community united in fervent prayer, prepared to face the challenges ahead with God at their side. In this pivotal moment, the humble act of seeking divine intervention became the cornerstone for transformation, marking the beginning of a journey that would redefine their struggles as opportunities for divine revelation. In a moment of divine clarity, Prophet Isaiah delivered a powerful assurance to the people of Jerusalem, proclaiming that the Assyrians would not conquer their city. This promise resonated through the hearts of the fearful, transforming despair into hope. Isaiah acted as a vessel of God's unwavering commitment to protect his people, reminding them that their faith was not in vain. The prophetic words were not merely assurances. They were infused with divine authority, setting a foundation for miraculous deliverance just when hope seemed to fade. As the citizens listened to Isaiah's proclamation, the tension within them began to ease, replaced by a renewed sense of purpose and belief in a positive outcome. The declaration was a call to arms not of weapons but of faith. It invited the people to embrace the reality of God's active presence in their lives. Isaiah's assurance illuminated a path forward, igniting a fire in the souls of those who longed for deliverance from their oppressors. Thus, amidst the looming shadows of the Assyrian threat, light began to break through the darkness, filling the hearts of the faithful. With the prophetic words echoing through the streets of Jerusalem, a deep-seated transformation began to take place. The once trembling citizens now stood taller, emboldened by the promise that no earthly power could prevail against the God of Israel. They started to understand that their struggle was not solely against physical forces, but also a testament to divine fidelity. Isaiah's message stirred a collective anticipation, reinforcing their identity as a chosen people and setting the stage for miraculous events that were soon to unfold. In this newfound assurance, they found strength to face the future, united in the faith that God would fulfill his promises. In a breathtaking display of divine might, the angel of the Lord intervened that fateful night, striking down the Assyrian forces with unparalleled power. This was not the result of human strategy or bravery on the battlefield. It was a miraculous act of God that silenced the clamor of fear and despair. In a single night, 185,000 soldiers fell, leaving the once feared Assyrian camp in utter devastation. The reality of this intervention shook the foundations of what the people thought was possible, proving that divine authority surpasses all earthly might. As the dawn broke over Jerusalem, the citizens were overcome with awe and disbelief upon discovering the aftermath of God's intervention. The stories of survival replaced whispers of uncertainty, while the air was thick with a palpable sense of gratitude. Those who had stood at the brink of despair now found themselves witnesses of a miracle, as communities celebrated their unforeseen deliverance. It was a moment that left an indelible mark on their collective soul, reinforcing the belief that their God was not only a protector, but a powerful Savior. This extraordinary display of divine intervention served as a profound reminder of the strength found in faith and reliance on God. The fall of the Assyrian forces did not merely signify a military victory, it was a testament to the promises fulfilled through unwavering trust and fervent prayer. For the people of Jerusalem, the event became a cornerstone of their identity, weaving a narrative of hope and resilience for generations to come. In experiencing firsthand the unmatched power of God, they understood that true deliverance comes not from man, but from an unwavering faith in the divine. As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, it unveiled a scene of unimaginable devastation in the Assyrian camp, confirming the prophetic words spoken by Isaiah. The ground that had once trembled under the weight of an overwhelming army was now silent, strewn with the remnants of a force that had towered in power and intimidation just hours before. Jerusalem's inhabitants, awash in disbelief, ventured out to witness the literal fulfillment of God's promise. An astonishing sight that transformed their despair into uncontainable joy as they realized divine protection had shielded them from annihilation. The aftermath of victory was not just a moment of celebration. It served as a reaffirmation of faith for all who witnessed the destruction of the Assyrian forces. Families gathered to recount stories, words of gratitude spilling forth as they recognized the hand of God in their deliverance. This victory became etched in their memories, a bright beacon of hope against future challenges. The recognition of Isaiah's prophecy ringing true deepened their trust and commitment to the God who had stood guard over them in their darkest hour. In the wake of such a profound victory, the people of Jerusalem found themselves not only celebrating survival but also acknowledging a renewed covenant with their divine protector. The lesson learned was indelible. When united in faith and dependent on God, seemingly insurmountable obstacles could be overcome. This event transformed the community, knitting them closer together with stories of awe and inspiration that would be passed down through generations. The dawn of that day marked not just the end of a siege, but the inception of a vibrant faith, one that served as a rallying cry for courage in the face of adversity and a testament to the unwavering love of God for his people. In the wake of a catastrophic defeat, Sennacherib, the proud king of Assyria, faced a humiliating fall from grace that echoed through the annals of history. His hubris, once a source of strength, turned into the very catalyst for his downfall, as he returned to his homeland bearing the scars of an unthinkable defeat. No longer the formidable conqueror, he became a symbol of arrogance that blindfolds rulers to their vulnerabilities. The whispers of dissent began to spread among his own ranks, sowing the seeds of discontent that would ultimately lead to his tragic end. The betrayal that followed came swiftly and ruthlessly. Sennacherib was assassinated by his own sons, a grim finale to a reign marked by tyranny and contempt. This act of vengeance not only ended his life but also signified the collapse of an era that had once been defined by fear and domination. Within the shadows of power, family bonds fractured under the weight of pride and failure, revealing the dangerous consequences of overreaching ambition. The king who had sought to instill fear in others ultimately became a victim of his own arrogance, leaving behind a legacy of chaos in Assyria. Sennacherib's assassination marked a turning point, illustrating the fragility of power when built on pride and oppression. The people of Jerusalem, having witnessed his downfall, felt a profound sense of justice. The high and mighty had fallen, and divine order had been restored. This pivotal moment served as a reminder that true strength lies not in dominance, but in humility and righteousness. As darkness faded from their city, hope flourished, and the inhabitants understood the significance of their deliverance, confident that they were favored and protected by a God who would uphold justice even in the most turbulent of times. The narrative of Jerusalem's deliverance stands as a powerful lesson in faith, underscoring the vital importance of prayer, humility, and reliance on God's promises during overwhelming trials. In the face of insurmountable odds, the responses of King Hezekiah and the people demonstrate that true strength emerges not from human might, but from an unwavering commitment to seek divine guidance. Their journey illuminates how moments of crisis can become profound opportunities for growth and spiritual awakening, affirming that prayer is not just a request for help, but a declaration of faith and trust in a higher power. Through their struggles, the inhabitants of Jerusalem learned that humility is essential when facing life's greatest challenges. In their vulnerability, they discovered the power of coming together in prayer, a communal act that deepened their bonds and reinforced their shared belief in God's faithfulness. They understood that by admitting their limitations and fully depending on the divine, they could unlock a strength that transcends worldly understanding. This lesson resonates through time, reminding us that in moments of weakness, it is our humility that invites divine intervention and grace into our lives. Ultimately, the story illustrates that faith is a journey marked by both trials and triumphs, revealing the unwavering love and protection of God for His people. The miraculous deliverance of Jerusalem serves as an enduring testament to the belief that prayer coupled with a humble heart can change the course of human history. As the echoes of this ancient narrative continue to inspire, it becomes clear that faith is the foundation upon which hope is built, guiding individuals through adversity and empowering them to embrace their destinies with courage and conviction. This historical account serves as a timeless reminder that true strength lies in faith, offering hope and assurance to individuals facing their own challenges today. The story of Jerusalem's deliverance from the Assyrian siege demonstrates that, even in the direst situations, unwavering trust in God can lead to miraculous outcomes. Each character in this narrative exemplifies how faith can catalyze transformation, instilling courage to confront fears and the fortitude to rise above adversity. This lesson is as relevant now as it was then, inviting us to embody similar strength in our own lives. The trials endured by the people of Judah are reflective of the struggles many face in modern times. Feelings of despair, the weight of overwhelming circumstances, and the search for divine guidance can resonate deeply with our lives today. In moments of uncertainty, we are called to remember that we are not alone, and that turning to prayer and community can cultivate resilience. Just as King Hezekiah gathered his people in faith, so too can we find support and strength in those around us, fostering a collective courage that can withstand any storm. In embracing the lessons of the past, we can draw upon this powerful narrative as a source of inspiration and assurance. The assurance that God hears our prayers and responds to our cries for help remains a cornerstone for many faith journeys. As we navigate the complexities of our lives, let us hold fast to the truth that faith serves as both our shield and our guide. In doing so, we can aspire to cultivate a spirit of hope that not only uplifts ourselves but also empowers those in our community, reminding us that amid challenges we too can witness the hand of providence at work.